Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about some sort of practical applications of percents. But before we do, I have a quick problem for you. And what's the difference between a piano and a fish? What is the difference between a piano and a fish? First, we're going to talk about simple interest. There's some words we need to know because we'll see these in problems, right? We're not going to ask you what the definition is, but you will see these words in lots of problems that you're going to do. The first thing is a loan. All right, so a loan is when you borrow money. Usually you borrow money from a bank. If you talk to your parents, common things that people take loans for: to buy a car, to buy a house, to go to uni, depending where you go and you have to pay for uni, it costs a lot of money. And usually if, like, say, for example, a house especially is very expensive, it would take you a very long time to save up all the money to buy a house, so you get a loan. The bank gives you the money to buy the house, and then you're going to pay them back. Next is interest. If you get a loan, usually the bank is going to charge you interest. In other words, they're going to charge you. So if you borrow £10,000, say, to pay for your uni, right, the bank is going to charge you interest on that, which is going to be a certain percent. Right? They're not just going to want their £10,000 back. You're going to end up having to give them more than £10,000 back. That's sort of like a fee for loaning you money. That's usually called the interest. The other thing is you can earn interest by investing money. And this is something that people should do, especially planning for retirement, planning for other things, other purchases you might want to. You invest your money. You can invest your money just in the bank. Some of you maybe already have a bank account. You put your money in there. The bank gives you interest. So they pay you money just for keeping your money in the bank. Or you may have heard maybe some of your parents have bought stocks or bonds. Usually they will give you interest also. So interest can work both ways. Next is principal. All right, now we're not talking about Mr. Vasher or Miss Megnan. Principal is the amount of money that you actually borrow. All right, so you borrow, you get a loan. The principal might be £10,000. They're going to charge you interest, and then so at the end you need to repay the principal, but you also need to repay the interest. So the principal is the original amount you borrow. The interest will be money on top of that. The last thing is per annum. All right, annum comes from the Latin for year. So per annum means per year. Most of the problems that you will see when they talk about percents, they'll give you an interest rate. Like they say you're going to borrow £10,000 at a 5% interest rate per annum. That means that the interest rate will be 5% per year. So you need to know what these words mean before we get into the problem. Okay, so let's look at some basic problems. This video is going to talk about simple interest. The next video will talk about compound interest. Now, in today's world, there's not many cases out in the real world where you use simple interest. With the power of computers and calculators these days, most places work with compound interest, but you still might see word problems that use simple interest. So here's a basic problem. I'm going to invest £5,000 in a bank account. So I'm going to go put it in the bank account. They're going to give me 5% simple interest per annum. So in other words, every year they're going to give me 5%. So we need to be able to work out how much interest. So the £5,000 is the principal. We need to work out the interest. Well, it's a relatively straightforward calculation. 5% is 0.05 times 5,000. Now, we probably don't really need a calculator for this, right? Because we know 10% is 500. So 5% is 250 pounds. Okay, so that's how much interest I'm going to get every year. So after 1 year, I would have the 5,000 I put in there. So after 1 year, I would have 5,000. That's the money I put in there. My money is just sitting there. They're going to give me 250 pounds. So just for sticking my money in the bank and leaving it in there all year, at the end of the year, I would have 5,250 pounds. Now let's say that's a pretty good deal, so I'm going to leave it in the bank a second year. So at the second year, I'm going to have, I started with 5,250. Whoops. That's one way to make lots of money. With 5,250, I'm going to get the same amount of interest. Simple interest, you get the same amount every year. So I'm going to get another 250. This should be a plus up here. I think I said plus. So that's 5,500. So not bad. After 2 years of just doing nothing but leaving your money in the bank, you now have 5,500. Every year, I would get another 250 pounds of interest. This is how simple interest works. Okay, so let's start looking towards more like a problem you might see. Calculate the simple interest earned if the principal is £1,000, the interest rate is 5% for 3 years. So first I need to work out is how much interest I get each year. 5% is 0.05 times 1,000, which we just already worked that out, right? 10% is 100, 5% is 50. Okay, so I'm going to get 50 pounds per year for 3 years. So the question is the simple interest earned. They're just asking for the interest. So 3 years times 50 pounds is 150 pounds. Since we're talking units, you need to put your units in your answer. Okay, so that's how much simple interest I would earn in 3 years. Okay, let's add a little bit more onto the problem. All right, Holly invests 15,000 pounds at 6% PA. PA is short for per annum. In other words, per year, every year. So every year they're going to give her 6% interest for 3 years. Calculate how much interest she will earn. That's the first step. All right, well, the interest is 6% times 15,000. And again, most of these you're going to be able to use your calculator. So 15,000 times 0.06 is 900, right, per year, per annum. I'm going to get 900 pounds interest each year. So the first question is calculate how much interest she will earn. I'm doing it for 3 years. 3 times 900, okay, in 3 years. So Holly will get 2,700 pounds in 3 years for her interest, right? The first part of the question was calculate how much interest. The second question is how much money will she have? So that's how much total money will she have? Well, she still has that 15,000 pounds. It's just been sitting in the bank. Okay, she put it there to keep it safe, and not only to keep it safe, to earn that interest. If she just kept the money in her piggy bank at home, not going to get any interest. After 3 years, she would still have 15,000 pounds. She put her money in the bank. After 3 years, she's going to have 15,000 plus 2,700. She will have 17,700 pounds after 3 years. That's how much money she will have. So read the question. Sometimes the question will only ask for how much interest she's going to have. Sometimes we'll only ask for how much money. Sometimes they'll break it down into parts. Again, yes, you're using your calculator on this. You still need to show your work. All right, one last problem, okay? Dinesh, a smart business guy, is going to invest 22,000 pounds at 4% PA for 24 months. Calculate how much interest he will earn. How much money will he have at the end of 24 months? Now this time, what's the twist on here? The interest is 4% PA, which means per annum per year. So interest in 1 year is going to be 0.04 times 22,000. Okay, again, you're going to put that in your calculator. 22,000 times 0.04 is 880. Okay, that's how much interest in 1 year. So how am I going to work out how much interest he's going to earn? 24. So I'm going to multiply it by 24? No, be careful. This is 24 months, this interest. Sometimes the problem might give you interest per month. This interest is per annum per year. So 24 months is 2 years. So how much interest will he earn? 2 years times 880, all right, is going to give him 1,000. That is how much interest he will earn in 2 years. How much money will he have at the end of 24 months? Again, 24 months is 2 years. He's going to have 22,000 plus 1,760. Okay, and he adds this together. He's going to get 23,760 pounds. That's how much money he's going to have at the end of 2 years. So these are some basic examples. Again, there's not most banks these days. If you go to the bank, put your money in, they're not going to give you simple interest. They're going to give you compound interest, which will be the next video, which, as you'll see, is better. Compound interest is better. Likewise, if you borrow money for a house, or to buy lots of shoes, they're going to charge you compound interest. Okay, so that brings us to what's the difference between a piano and a fish? Well, you can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish. See you later.